co-host Morgan Hewitt. Hi, Morgan.
Why did you say that with such... That was just like a sigh in there.
No, it wasn't. It was just, sometimes you got to appreciate what you got, haven't you?
I really want to do this. The first and last time I do this for everyone on this podcast today, but I've got to do it. Rock and roll.
Yes, yeah. Well, on that note, we're very lucky to be joined with Jody today. Morgan, hi, Jody. How are you?
How you doing, guys? It's a pleasure to be on. I've been looking forward to this.
No, great. Thanks for joining us.
Me too, Jody. Obviously, I know you contacted us a couple of months ago now, wasn't it, to sort of come on?
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming, so I'm really pleased we've finally been able to sit down and talk about Norwich City, which is always a great subject to talk about, which I'm sure you agree.
Yeah. Not always great, but I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean.
So if you'd just like to introduce yourself to our listeners, I always say like listeners as if we've got about 1 million listeners, but in all honesty, it might only be about 5. But never mind. Jody, if you just introduce yourself to the audience, where you're from, what you do for a living, and perhaps how long you supported Norwich for.
Yep. My name's Jody. I drive tour trucks for very famous musicians. I've been doing it for a good few years. I've been in Norwich. I live in Winchester, but I work all over Europe. I think last year I spent around 9 months out of the country, just traveling everywhere. I worked 23 countries, I think, last year, which was cool. I've been a Norwich fan since. Do you want me to give you the potted history now?
Yes, please.
Go for it.
I can do that right. So 1985, my dad was the manager of a Four Boys on North Walsham Road in Old Catton, Sprowston. And they used to do it was the Canary Lottery or something along them lines. And they used to give him 2 free home tickets for every home game. But he was working. He worked 7 days a week, and me and my sisters were too young to go to the games on our own. But my uncle Pete, my mum's brother, he was a massive football fan. Unfortunately, he's a Southampton fan. So every time he come to Norwich, which was quite often because he was stationed in Uxbridge, he'd take them 2 free tickets, and he'd be like, "Right, Joe, let's go and watch the game." So the first game I saw. And I don't remember it. It was 1985. We were at home to Liverpool. I think Dalglish was playing. There's some big. If you look back and Google it, there's some really big names playing. But it was a 3-3 draw.
Wow.
And that was the start of a love affair. What's that now? 40 years? 40 years. For all my sins, 40-year love affair with the yellow and green, with the Canaries. And I've seen them many, many times since, all over the place. We moved to the Isle of Wight after that, so I saw Norwich play at Southampton and Portsmouth a lot. And I've got a bit of an affinity for Portsmouth, but not for Southampton. The 2 sets of fans are completely different. And I was there when. Do you remember what year is it we got promoted to the Premiership? And we were away at Portsmouth. And did Simeon Jackson score?
Yeah.
Jez, you love
right.
It,
so if you watch the old Sky Sports replay, as the Norwich fans are jumping around, I step out from the seat onto the stairs, and the camera just catches me falling down the stairs celebrating. Was it Simeon Jackson that got that goal?
It was, but I'm gonna have to stop you there, because I was sat pretty much behind the goal. Where Simeon Jackson said, I remember someone's falling down the stairs.
No.
That was me.
Yeah.
That was me.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to finally meet you. Yeah. And I don't know, Jez, I don't know what your experiences after that game were, but the Pompey fans waited outside for us, and they congratulated us and shook our hands. So this is where I've always had like a kind of love for Portsmouth, because living on the Isle of Wight, you're either a Pompey fan or a Southampton fan. And I just, because where I lived in Ryde, I could see Portsmouth just across the water, across the Solent. But every time I went to Southampton, when I went to the Dell, I saw Robert Fleck miss an open goal there. That was traumatic for me. We lost 1-0. Every time we left the Dell or St Mary's, we'd get pelters from the Saints fans throwing things. They just, I got such a bugbear with Southampton, man. But the Portsmouth fans were a different class that night we went up. And I remember them. I can't remember what they were singing, but they were singing something about you're going up or something when we got the goal. And it was just, I don't know, man. I really appreciated that. But that's a real good memory for me, being away at that Portsmouth game. That was a cool one. Even though the ground, and I'm sure Pompey fans won't mind me saying, is an absolute fucking shithole. Excuse my language.
You're right.
But great fans, man.
We've got by the time this goes out, we would have actually interviewed one of Jez's all-time top 5 heroes, right, Jez?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did. I did. You know what? Just before you jumped on, or should I say, jumped out of the shower, me and Jody were talking about that, and I think you'll agree, Morgan. It was such a insightful episode, and not only did we talk about Portsmouth, we also talked a lot about Tommy Boyd.
So what do you tell the listeners about? I guess promote the other side of our shows.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, it probably would have gone out by the time we release this one, but I'm sure that people that listen back to that one, or have already listened to it, will note how important that podcast was to me. That particular episode.
So it was with Tommy Boyd. He was a former television presenter and DJ on Talk Sport, quite prolific in the early zeros. So we managed to wrangle him, and he was telling us all about his career and about his love for Pompey, and what is it, Pompey Sounds, that he puts out. So a really good radio podcast about Pompey.
Yeah.
So it was really good. So it's funny that Jody, you bring up you brought up Pompey, and then we ended up talking to him quite recently.
Yeah, and I always remember that game as well. And I think if anyone was to ask me what my favourite game was of all time, and that'd be up there, maybe sort of joint with the playoff final. But I think
me too. So we were at both games then. We were at the same games together.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was just such a great night, and everything went for us that day as well. We talked about the Cardiff Middlesbrough game beforehand, which the result went in our way. Watched that at a pub around the corner from the ground, where there were sort of two away fan pubs next to each other on the corner. And we were in the better one. We served cheese and onion rolls all afternoon. It was the owners. You talk about people of Portsmouth being really nice, and they were just they looked after us the whole time we were there. And I remember going on the pitch at full time, and it grabbed one of those champagne bottles that were strangely have Coca-Cola written on it. I think that Coca-Cola was the sponsor. It may not be that actually, but I'm pretty sure it was. But yeah, it was just memories, really, isn't it? It's great.
Yeah.
Were you okay, Jody, in the end?
Yeah, I'm still alive. I'm all right. I survived. I'm here. The stairs come off all right as well.
I think looking at the questions, I think you've probably answered question 1. So I think we'll perhaps move on to question 2. So when you're on the road, which as you mentioned is quite a lot of the time, how do you keep in touch with Norwich news and games, etc.?
I've got like the Talk Sport app and BBC Sport apps and stuff, so I listen to them if I'm driving, or even if I'm just walking through cities or whatever. I keep up that way. The podcast for sure, like I was telling Jez, as soon as you guys get a new one out, I download it. I use a podcast app called, let me have a look, I'm gonna have to get it up quick. It is called Podcast Addict. I don't know if they just pull it from wherever, but it's a great app, and it notifies me. Obviously, it's cool as soon as you get a new one up, and I download it and listen. I don't use social media massively. I'm in that age range now where I'm kind of tired with it, but I flick it up to keep abreast of news and stuff, and I do follow. Your algorithms obviously get a lot of Norwich news and things like that, and I try to avoid. I'm gonna go pick up something that I think it was John Waterling, the comedian, was talking about a few weeks ago. He was saying that the Facebook groups can be a cesspit, man. They can be a real horrible place. So I try to stay away from there, but I pick up on the headlines and whatever and get the information I need to get. But I get the odd notifications and stuff through other apps. So that's how I keep up with Norwich and stuff. And like I said,
games whilst you're on the bus or anything like that.
I don't drive the bus. I drive the truck. So the buses are for the acts. If I can, I do, but if I'm driving, I don't, obviously. But if I can get it streamed somewhere, then yeah, for sure. But I remember, I think one of you guys said that isn't Canary TV like £180 a year at the minute or something?
Something like that, yeah.
I don't
One of
know
my guests said that.
about it, to be fair.
Well, I'm also a massive NFL fan. Not the Green Bay Packers, funny enough, even though they play in yellow or green. I'm their biggest rivals. I'm a Chicago Bears fan, and for the same price, I can get all the NFL games. It just makes me. I bulk at paying that much money for Canary TV, especially when you can stream it some places. But at the same time, I do feel like I should support them. But yeah, but other than that, YouTube's a good place to catch up on games. They always put the highlights up. That's one of the ways I catch up and check out a game, check out the result.
No, definitely. I think there's so many different platforms these days, and you mentioned about the forums and the particularly the old-fashioned forum, like me and Morgan sort of originated it on the podcast, kind of originated on the Pinken. But we were having a discussion yesterday, weren't we, Morgan, about the worth of those forums these days, and actually are we moving away from those sort of, well, shall we call them old-fashioned forums into the social media realm?
Yeah. I have heard you talk about that. And in fact, I found your podcast. Obviously, Jez, you commented on something somewhere on Facebook, and I looked at your profile. I was like, a Norwich podcast, great. I'm going to check this out. And then I think I messaged you after I listened to a couple of them, and now we're here.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it.
No problem.
I will say there are other podcasts out there. I have to cover my back.
Yeah, of course. But I like this one. I was telling Jez just before we start recording that I drove the equivalent of 1.5 times around the world last year, and during 90% of that drive, it would have been listening to podcasts and audiobooks and stuff. So I feel like I'm well qualified to point out the good ones and stuff. And this is definitely a good one. And I'm happy to be here.
No, I really appreciate that. And I think Morgan has come up with an idea of perhaps doing some Beyond the Barclay stickers. So I think you might be receiving some of those to put.
I can put them all over Europe. Don't worry about that. Everywhere. They'll be everywhere.
Yeah. Everywhere. Start getting some Norwich fans in Estonia. Lovely.
So I guess on that, thinking about when you've been able to watch a Norwich game, where's the weirdest place you've done it in all of your career time?
I'm pretty sure it must be Thailand, because I've been out there a couple of times. It's a completely world away from what we used to and what I'm used to as working. And I know I was there. Where was I there? Last September, I was there, and I was definitely keeping up the game. I'm sure I watched the game in a bar, but I was also pretty drunk, so I'm sure it must have been there. But yeah, Thailand for sure. I could give you a list of countries in Europe that I've probably watched the games in, but I can't. It's gonna sound big-headed, but I can't remember half the places I've been to, because it's like going to different cities in the UK. It's the same as driving. I drove through 4 countries the other day just to come home, and when you do it for a living, it's a daily thing. You don't really think about it.
Yeah.
But I follow them wherever I am in the world. I follow them, keep an eye on them, keep up to date with the scores, and watch the game if I can, for sure.
Yeah. Was it the because I know there's Bangkok Canaries or something like that. Do you reckon was it in a Norwich themed bar, or was it just
is there? I didn't know that. I'm gonna have to check this out. I'm back out there I'm going out there for New Year's this year. I'm taking my sons. I've got to find that.
If you want, I can find out the net. I can link you to the person, because a previous guest on the pod has been out there, and I think he ended up watching a game in
100%. 100%. I'll definitely do that. That'd be great. That'd be cool, man.
Yeah. I can't imagine there's many places in the world that would show a Norwich game unless there's a cat behind the bar, you know.
And one thing I always do as well, I always have a Norwich City shirt with me wherever I go.
Yes.
In my bag or in the truck, wherever, just in case. In case I have to pull it out.
So has that? Oh yeah, I mean I guess that leads into the next question quite nicely. If you don't mind me taking it, Jez, because I'm
go for it
now.
Go for it. Yeah.
Have you encountered other on the road canaries on your adventures with like your shirts and stuff?
Yeah, I want to tell you a little story, which is quite a poignant one, but it's not very exotic. I was on the Isle of Wight and I was wearing the old Coleman's Norwich shirt. You remember that one with the green stripe down the side? That is one of my favourite shirts. That is a phenomenal shirt. And I was working on a market stall with my mum and dad. I was I don't know, early 20s, and an old guy come up to me and he said, "I'm from Norwich. Do you mind if I take your picture?" He said, I didn't expect to bump into a Norwich fan down here."
Yeah.
I said, "Of course." So he took my picture, and then I didn't think anything of it. Then a couple of weeks later, uh, one of the cafes that we were working outside of, we had the stall outside of, she said, "I've got some post for you." And I was like, "Well, what are you talking about?" And he sent the picture of me, and all he'd written as the address, and on the other side was the name of the cafe, which he remembered. But he said to the boy on the market stall outside with the Norwich shirt, and he put my picture on the back of the envelope, so whoever looked at it, be like, "I know who this guy is." And so she brought the letter out to me and the picture, and I was like, "This is really cool." And he just put a little note in there. In the envelope, he'd sent me. Now, you boys might be able to remember this, but it might be an early edition of the Pink 'Un, because it was pink, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So he'd folded up the football section. I can't remember. This is probably 25, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
He'd folded up the football section and sent it to me and said, "This is so you could," because I said to him, I try to keep up as much as I can. This is before Facebook and a lot of socials and stuff.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated it. Then all of a sudden, I started getting them every week. He sent them down to me every week. So I wrote back to him and said, "Look, this is my address. Here's my address. Stop sending it to the market store in case I miss it."
Yeah.
And we started up like a pen pal relationship. We talked for a long time. His name was Norman Beatty. He was one of the Dam Buster pilots, and he used to tell me about all his stories. He said he'd write me all these stories. He sent me a book that they'd written about him in. He crashed a plane, broke his leg, and he was taken in as a prisoner of war. And he said, "Thank you for listening to an old man." He said, my family aren't very interested." And then he sent me his RAF tie, pictures of him visiting the Queen, the book I got, and it's one of the most treasured things that I keep. I keep it at my mum and dad's. It's all locked up tightly, and it's just brilliant. So it's not a very exotic story, but I just love that story because the guy's a legend. The guy's a legend.
It's a great story, and it's like you formed a friendship with someone from afar just because you ended up wearing a Norwich shirt one day by chance.
Yeah, for sure. So what am I missing by not wearing it every day?
Yeah,
maybe I'm missing other great stories.
Well, yeah. I mean, sometimes if you're out and about, my story, Jez hasn't heard this one, so it's not that it's not boring. But I was in Los Angeles and visiting a friend, and was in down by it mentions in that Sheryl Crow song. I can't remember. All I want to do is have some fun. I've got a feeling.
Down in down in. I can't think. I'm not a massive Sheryl Crow fan, but we do tour with her. No, Shania Twain. We tour with, not Sheryl Crow.
Well, it's similar kind of world, I guess.
Similar, yeah.
Yeah, kind of. But yeah, so I was down by the beachfront. I was wearing that white shirt that they released back in 2016, I think it was, the egg and crest white one. I was just minding my own business on just waiting for my friends, and these two guys came up to me, and they were from Canada, and they were like, "Oh, where are you from? You're from Norwich?" And I was like, "Yeah." It's like because then it turns out that they were just there drinking in the bars and stuff, and they worked for Aviva. So
wow, okay.
So Aviva out over there, and because obviously Aviva's a Norwich company, they recognised the logo, and then subsequently recognised the shirt and the team, and they were like, "Do you want to come drinking with us?" And I was like, "Yeah, friends," but it was just really cool. And they were just chatting about Norwich and about the club and about everything, and it was just very surreal to kind of because they weren't from the UK. I mean, sometimes you bump into someone from the UK, right? And it's like, cool,
Yeah.
you know, that's fine. But these guys worked for Aviva, but weirdly followed Norwich. So
Look,
that's just,
Morgan, Morgan, wasn't it you that went to Cuba and bumped into somebody that was going to Norwich, or was that the
yes,
guy with the kits? It was
yes.
you. So you're the magnet then, Morgan. Morgan the magnet. You just attract connections to Norwich all over the world.
Waifs and strays. No, that's for
Waifs and
Jez.
strays.
I call Jez the Pied Piper of Norwich.
Indeed, indeed. I guess perhaps moving on then. So, what is the most rock and roll Norwich scenario you've ever found yourself in? And Morgan, give an
Norwich.
example of Spinal Tap.
Yeah, man, I love Spinal Tap. That's a great film.
That's why.
I've never been caught going through customs with a cucumber wrapped in foil down my pants though. Nothing like that. Nothing like that. I can't think of I'm guessing I've had a near miss is when I worked with Ed Sheeran.
Oh no.
So like I said, I always have my Norwich shirt with me. But when I was moving his stage, and I think some of his equipment as well, and I made sure I wore my Norwich shirt under my jacket, but I never actually bumped into him. But I imagine that would have been I'm sure it would have been pretty fun. But apparently he's a nice guy. The other boys tell me he's all right. But just a shame he's an Ipswich fan.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I haven't got any rock and roll Norwich stories, but stay tuned. I will have eventually.
Good. What about you, Morgan?
I have a rock and roll story because I was in a band once. But we half of us went down to play a gig in Swindon. Right, this is how glamorous it was back in 2005.
I'm sorry to hear that, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
So we half of us trekked across the country in the car, and the other half went on train. Me and the guitarist went on the train, and we got there to Swindon and to the gig venue well ahead of time, and we sort of settled in and was sort of sat there waiting for the others to arrive. And we sat there waiting for the others to arrive. And we sort of sat there waiting for the others to arrive, and they still hadn't arrived. And we were like, "We've got, we're on in about an hour. Where are you got? What have you done?" And they're like, we rang them up. We're like, "Where are you?" They're like, "We found ourselves in a place called Stony Stratford near in the Midlands, and it's like a hamlet. But every time we try to leave Stony Stratford, we go back to the same place over and over again." So they've just been going around in circles in this hamlet trying to get out of it for like.
Wow.
Well, I'll tell you why, Morgan.
Why?
Because it's in Milton Keynes. So what they've done is they've turned right at the roundabout, then turned right at the roundabout again, then turned right at the roundabout again, and sort of go around.
Hang on. Which roundabout?
Exactly.
Milton Keynes, nothing but roundabouts.
There is about, I think, at last count, there's about 280 roundabouts in Milton Keynes.
So I didn't know this. So that's exactly why. So they got stuck there in this loop, and they couldn't escape. If that isn't Spinal Tap, I don't know what is.
The Ed Sheeran thing that I was saying about, he was practicing at the Rose Bowl in Milton Keynes. He was doing a rehearsals there. I'm sure I'm not breaking any laws now because it was a few years ago, but we had to sign NDAs because we weren't allowed to say we were setting the stage up there. So we dropped the stage off, and then they built it up only for rehearsals. No, it was a completely private thing. Nobody else could see it. And then I think the first show was Belgium. It was a hell of a stage. If you get a chance to have a look on YouTube, it was a really very impressive stage. Just a shame he's an Ipswich fan, and I'm going to end every Ed Sheeran comment with that.
Yeah, that's. I think that's a decent anecdote.
But we got Stephen Fry.
Yeah,
I think we've got a few goodies because Jez has pestered most of them to come on this podcast.
Justin Hawkins being one of them from the Darkness because he's in
Justin Hawkins. Oh, right. Funny enough, there's a guy called right. So I worked with Macklemore a couple of years ago, and he had a guest singer called Eric Gnarly, and he's this skinny, unassuming, very quietly spoken guy with one of the best voices you'll ever hear. He belts it out, absolutely belts it out. Now, Justin Hawkins interviewed him on a show podcast, whatever, and he posted it up, and I wrote underneath, I went, Eric McNally is one of the nicest, most because I had to go and speak to him. I said, man, you're one of my favourite entertainers. I think you're phenomenal. And Justin Morgan said, oh, that was nice to hear, man. That was cool. So that's my very tenuous Justin Hawkins link.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot that he was a Norwich fan. Jez, you've got to work harder than you have been to get him on.
Yeah, I'll try my hardest, and just sort of going back to Milton Keynes, for anything one thinks I'm weird, and we've just got this photograph.
Too late.
Yeah, I know. I did used to work there for a year and a half, so I know. Yeah, I do know the town well. Well, city actually now, isn't it? But it's a very, very strange place. Probably the strangest place I've been to in the UK in terms of everything really, to be honest. And
hasn't MK got the concrete cows?
Yes,
it has. Yeah, it has. Yeah. It's very quirky. It's got this sort of Chinese. What's it called? Like monument type thing in one of the parks. Yeah, and they've actually gone.
I was going to say, is it? Am I right in saying it's the last built city or town? Yeah. Purposely created, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I believe it is. But I mean, I live near to Stevenage, which was one of those sort of London overspills, if you like.
New towns.
New towns, yeah. Pocketed in between Letchworth and Welwyn Garden City, which are a lot nice newer towns, shall we say? Very, very picturesque. But we're going off on a bit of a tangent here. Well, I quite like it.
This is the whole point of the podcast.
I should have warned you. This I tend to freestyle a bit when it comes to things like that.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
I will say that for any listeners living in Milton Keynes, I think it's a nice place.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you should say that, because whenever I look at the stats, Milton Keynes is quite high up for some reason. We might have some Norwich fans in Milton Keynes, to be honest, because it's I don't know, it's still relatively local, isn't it? I guess, but
we're everywhere. We're everywhere.
Everywhere. And obviously got the MK Dons, which is a sore subject for a lot of people, but
yeah, for sure,
for obvious reasons. But maybe that might be time to move on to the next question, Morgan.
Okay, so I'm stepping into controversial territory right now, given some recent hullabaloo at Carrow Road. So, given the recent hullabaloo with a drum in the stands, what instrument would you replace it with, and why?
Well, I mean, this is a very, very serious subject. Do you remember the kazoos from the 2010 World Cup? If you're really going to piss people off, get them back out. Get them back out.
I can imagine all the city elite with these kazoos.
Yeah.
All those what are they called again? Those fafavas or whatever.
Vuvu sailors.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I mean. Yeah, that is exactly what I mean. Oh, they could twin them up with the kazoos. Let's go all out.
Yeah.
Make it a fortress of kazoos and faff and kulos, or whatever you said it was.
Yeah, like a ramshackle orchestra. I was thinking, Jody. I didn't. You'll remember this, but I would really love to see a greased up, muscular, oily saxophonist, just like in Lost Boys.
From the Lost Boys, man. Yes. Yeah. It's greased up, oily saxophonist. You've got to make sure you say that right, isn't it?
In the Canary Fairy tutu.
Oh, okay? So what's your now? I for one, I love the drum. Needs atmosphere. I can't remember. I listened to so many of your podcasts. Somebody made a comment about the average age of the Norwich fan. It's going up, isn't it? So you get more at the higher ages there. So the atmosphere does go down, and we know this. So the drum, I can see the drum. I can see who it's pissing off. But God, we do need it there sometimes. So what's your take on it? Would you have the drum, or wouldn't you have the drum?
Funny enough. Go on, Morgan. I'll let you go first.
Because I am putting my head above the parapet on this, aren't I? I'd still plumb for the saxophonist from Lost Boys. No, okay.
But he's got to be oiled up, right?
Without a shadow of a doubt. Um, I think if it was done right, and there wasn't such a storm in the teacup around it, because I think that it's just like people posting statements on social media and stuff, just like, I mean, okay, fine. But if there was more engagement with regards to it, and it was placed somewhere that it sort of didn't, could resonate with people, no pun intended.
Snake pit.
Maybe, but
Yeah.
I think, yeah. I mean, there are times. It's also given the situation with the play on the pitch. I bet you me and Jez have had this conversation many times. If the play on the pitch of late had been really positive and we were playing well, I bet no one say a thing about that drama.
No.
100% agree with you. 100%.
So is it a case of then, maybe reading the room a bit for the people that want to do the drumming and going, right now the atmosphere isn't quite there, maybe we'll step back for a bit, and then maybe see if next season we can hop on and kind of generate a bit of groundswell.
But I'll push back on that and say, do you not think that drum does get some of the fans' heads back up? If you're starting the team is starting to lose and stuff, and you need the fans behind you, maybe that drum just gets, maybe, I don't know, 5%, 10% of them get some singing again.
Yeah,
I can see pros and cons to it, but I'm pro drum for sure.
I would say if it's done properly with engagement, then I would be as well. I just think that it's got the like I said, the drama around it has just gotten out of hand and doesn't.
Yeah, with the fact we're talking about it now, the fact that one of your questions is asking me about the drum at our football ground it proves that you're right. Yeah, proves that it is an issue, which is so bizarre.
Jez?
Oh, sorry, I missed that. No, I'm with you both. I think it's you're completely right in what you said, Morgan. If we're winning or at least drawing most games, then no one would bat an eyelid. And I remember when they had it, the guy situated behind the the big screen on the side near the hotel.
Yeah,
he was there, and again, like, I don't know why that moved from there, because again, that's out the way of, you're not right on top of it. Look, you're not sat on the drum so close that you can lick it. It's out the way, and people can still enjoy that sort of, generate that atmosphere. And I just don't know why they ever moved it. Or there may be a reason, but no, without sort of, being too elongated with an answer for you. I completely agree. I've got just before we move on, I've got another Milton Keynes fact if you want it.
Go on. Why not?
Is it about roundabouts?
No, this is about lakes. So
hit me.
Milton Keynes has got 25 lakes.
All right.
And the reason they've got them is because they're essentially what they call balanced lakes. So when there's a massive rainfall, the city never floods because all of the drains and stuff go into these lakes.
Right.
Is it built on marshland or something?
Yeah. Well, I'm not entirely sure, but I would hazard a guess it probably, if they've obviously put these lakes in, that it probably is that. So, and you did mention the roundabouts. There's actually only 130. I think I said something outlandish like 250 or something, but yeah.
Well, you were close.
This is an educational show, if anything.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, look, I think
where else are you going to go for Milton Keynes facts?
Well, exactly, and I think it's important. I think it's important to acknowledge it, and perhaps I'll be dropping a few more Milton Keynes facts throughout the show.
I can't wait.
For the rest,
wait
for the rest of our tenure on this podcast, or just today.
Yeah, Morgan, you said this was going to be a rock and roll podcast, and we're proving it right now.
I think it's probably because we're all close to middle age or thereabouts.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, the next question is a blinder, by the way.
Yeah.
And then a Norwich City Football Club band. Who's in it? What kind of music do they play? And what makes you say that?
Okay, so can I pick musicians to fill each spot?
Yes.
And make a band out of them. Right. This is going to come out of left field, but one of the best acts I've ever seen, and I saw her last year in right in the north of Scotland was Toya Wilcox. She was one of the best, and bear in mind, I've seen a lot of people. And her energy and her songs are phenomenal. I would have her as lead singer.
Okay.
I'd have Chris Martin on the piano
Right.
because he can do backing vocals as well because he's very good. I'm not a Coldplay fan, but they are hands down one of the greatest shows you will see.
Yeah.
If you get a chance to Google it, look at any of their shows with the wristbands that light up, and you've got 80,000 people in a stadium, and the light techs coordinate all the wristbands to do different colors, and they can draw simple pictures in the stands and stuff. It's beautiful. So I'd have Chris Martin on piano. I would have, oh Nick, I feel really guilty not remembering the guy's name, but the drummer from Imagine Dragons. He's a very nice guy. He always said hello to me, and he's a really, really good drummer. Guitarist. I would have. No, sorry, I'm taking Chris Martin off the piano. I'm going to go put him on a different instrument. Last month, I worked with an Italian classical pianist called Ludovico Einaudi, and I don't know if you know who that is, but you would have heard his piano music. He's the greatest piano player I've ever heard. I'd have him there. He'd be on the piano.
Okay.
Trying to fill out the rest of the band. I'm trying to think of Stormzy's a good act. He's a lot of fun. Maybe I'd have him up there with Toya Wilcox singing. That'd be cool. And as much as I'm gonna hate saying these words, you know what I'm gonna say. It's gonna have to be Ed Sheeran on guitar, I think, which is a shame because he's an Ipswich. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. And what music would they play? Why not? Let's have a little bit of samba music, a little bit of Brazilian music. They can play that.
Okay.
Why not?
I think it's nice that you mentioned Chris Martin, because obviously there is that link with Norwich there as well, isn't there? That we had a player called Chris Martin. So
yeah.
Yes, and Chris Martin used to be one of my favourite players. I know he never set the world alight, but he just a player that you just really like. I always liked Chris Martin. Always liked him.
Yeah, where's he from? He's from Lowestoft, Jez?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I think he's local. It might be more. Is it more Diss somewhere that way? I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'll have a look and let you know.
So that's the band. That's the band round of that. That's it.
I like it. Yeah, it's good. Chris Martin was born in Beccles.
Oh, there you go. So you were kind of right.
Thanks. You ready? You ready for your next? You ready for your next instalment of Milton Keynes facts?
Do it.
Yeah.
Please.
Request.
So it's the only reason I'm here now.
Yeah,
do you know that during the war, I'm now frantically trying to go back to the facts because I knew this anyway, but now where is it? So yeah, during the Second World War, 10,000 people worked in secret at Bletchley Park, decoding enemy communications. And Bletchley Park is situated in Milton Keynes.
I've been to Bletchley Park, and it was Alan Turing who led that.
There you go. Yeah.
Everybody in this podcast is now more intelligent than when we started.
I don't know. After spending like half my day talking to Jez, I start to lose that. It starts to go back down again. I'm only kidding. I'm making the heart shape with my hands right now and going like that.
Well, when we start doing our video podcast next season, I'll see that.
Yeah.
Okay, go. I did say to Jez beforehand, I've got questions as well, and if you don't mind, I'd like to bounce back on you because I'm sure there's people that listen to this that want to know more about you guys in the pod as well. So the video podcast. So where are you going to be streaming? Is it going to be YouTube? Is it going to be Podbean? And what is your plans? What is your designs for it?
Okay, do you want me to take that one, Morgan?
Yeah, go on then.
So you may have been aware. I'm sure you are aware that we've teamed up with Killian O'Grady, who was fan of the year. He's going to kill me because I've forgotten what year it was.
2023.
Thank you. And he's brought some different ideas and ways of thinking to the pub, which we've really liked. So he does a video every game because he goes to pretty much every game, and talks about the city that he's visiting, or if it's Norwich, you know, the opponents. He's now hosting his own Friday night show when he's going to an away game as like an away day guide. And on that, he's found or he uses a platform. I can't remember what it's called, but essentially it means that people are going to start seeing our ugly mugs rather than it just being an audio
Nice.
link. So that's going to be in from next season, and we'll still be using the Podbean app to publish stuff. But the video one will be on YouTube, so you'll be able to listen to us still, and if you listen to us in your car or at home. You'll also now be able
or
to
truck.
Or heaven forbid, you'll be able to watch us next season. I hope that answers your question.
Well, let me make a suggestion. But if you need a Norwich fan in a different country on every pod, you could probably call me up and I'll be somewhere interesting.
Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, that might be something we can do. I'll come up with a snazzy name there.
Usually with alliteration.
Yeah.
Jody the Roady.
I like that.
Brilliant.
Yeah, Jode on the road. I'll let you work on it.
Jode on the road. Canaries on tour. Yeah, I like that.
There we go.
What's your next question? You've got any more?
Or me or Jody?
No, Jody.
Oh me. Oh, so no. I'm just. I'm going to bounce backwards and forwards between you. Right. Okay. I got a slight bone of contention to pick me and Morgan, and it's about your second team. I despise them.
What, Spurs?
And I've got absolutely no reason to, and I can't explain why I dislike Spurs so much, especially when, as I was growing up, we had Ian Butterworth, Ian Crook. Did John Polston come from Spurs?
Yeah, I think he did actually. Yeah.
And Tim Sherwood, and one of my favourite players, and I absolutely love him, and I was so happy you brought his name up a couple of shows ago, was Raul Fox.
Yeah.
God, I love that man. And I was going to say, we've had a history of fantastic wingers. Huckabee, Edie, Raul Fox. We've had a really, really good... Nathan Redmond is also a guy. I really like Nathan Redmond as well.
Yeah,
we've had some cracking wingers and some really good strikers. Really good stuff. So, yeah, it's not really a bone of contention. I just don't like Spurs.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Which it doesn't make any sense.
But yeah, Madison plays for them now.
James Madison, yeah.
He had his Norwich tattoo out after they beat Ipswich and won.
Yeah. I saw it, man.
So
I saw it.
Yeah, I like Spurs. I spent so many years living in North London, and between Arsenal and Spurs, they felt for me like the more real team. So I was more drawn to them for that reason, and they had their struggles, and that they have had their struggles. But I don't really want to talk about Spurs on a Norwich pod. So
I've actually got a decent Spurs story that is tied to Norwich.
Okay, go.
So the FA Cup game with Tim Krul, the hero. Yeah. We all remember that, right? Yeah. So before the game, now I have friends and connections in many, many, many places, and before the game, I received a video of the Norwich dressing room and all the kits laid out, and I really appreciated getting that. And I put it up on what was then Twitter and thought absolutely nothing of it. I can't remember if I went to sleep, I went to work or whatever, but when I checked my phone, I had messages, it had been retweeted. Brian Gunn had seen it and retweeted it, and lots of Norwich fans retweeted it. Bearing in mind that the guy that sent me it said, "Whatever you do, don't share this with anyone." I had the then Norwich kit manager, because it went all over Facebook as well, and by that time I couldn't stop it. I was like, made a bit of a balls up. And the Norwich kit man, I can't remember his name, sent me a message and said, "Where did you get this?" And I never replied to him.
You ducked out.
Yeah,
you ducked it.
I don't know if you've been to the Spurs. Like I said, I'm a big NFL fan, and the Spurs stadium, as much as I don't like them, is one of the best stadiums. And have you seen that they can take the football pitch out and bring the NFL pitch in? It's something to behold, man. That stadium is beautiful. Yeah, absolutely beautiful.
The only thing I'll say about it is the access route to it isn't great in and out. I just think it's very difficult to. But there are a lot of London stadiums are like that. But I find Tottenham particularly difficult, and particularly with the new build stadium, I find it very difficult to get in and out of.
Oh, I did have another question. I know we talk a lot. You guys talk a lot about kits, and you jogged my nostalgia when you said about the tartan one, the blue one. Man, I love that kit. I had that, but do you also remember the 2007, 2008 red Zara one? God,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do
do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that one. Now, Morgan, you don't. I seem to have a lot of contention with you, Morgan. I like you. I like you, but so now you didn't like the Flyby kit, did you? But I really
No,
like that.
no.
I really like that. What is that? 90? I can't. Not you. No, it wasn't 90, was it? It was a lot newer than that.
Yeah, it's like 02, 03 or something.
Yeah. Oh,
Mm.
I looked up the blue tartan kit, and right now in mint condition, it's £175 online.
Wow.
And I used to sleep in it and play football in it and do everything in it. And I don't know where it's gone over the years. So I regret getting rid of that.
I've got one sitting upstairs in my wardrobe, and it's I'll get nowhere near it these days because it was when I was probably about 6, 7, or 8 or whatever when I had it. But I'm just waiting for my boy to be old enough where he can wear it, because it's got Davy 7 on the back, and that's his, because he's born on the 7th of May. All of the Norwich shirts that I've got his name and the number 7 on the back of it.
Oh, that's
nice.
I'm really. I was born on the 7th of August, Jez. So
okay. Also, guys, just to let you know, there are over 20,000 parking spaces in central Milton Keynes.
This is why people are tuning in.
Sadly, I think
I've got. Go on.
Keep going. Sorry to interrupt, Morgan. Jody's got more questions. Come on.
Oh no, I haven't got a question. I've got another story, and this is a cool one. So I was working with I was on tour with James Arthur last year. Fantastic tour. If any of the guys are listening, I love you all. It was such a good tour, and we were at the Pink Pop Festival in the Netherlands.
Right.
And now, I don't know if you know who James Arthur is, yeah?
Yeah.
Do you know what? I can't believe he would have definitely been in my band lineup. 100%. 100%. Fantastic musician. All right. And Ed Sheeran he was on one stage and Ed Sheeran was on the other stage. And Ed Sheeran has got a really big crew, like a big entourage. And all he wanted at Pink Pop was to come and watch James Arthur. So he asked to have. Oh God, I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for telling these stories. He asked if all his crew could come and watch James Arthur. Now, our lot said no, because we've also got a pretty big crew. So Ed watched it with I think it was just 2 of his bodyguards or something like that. But he was very pleasant. He was very nice. Now that's not the best bit of the story. There's another trucking company. I won't name them because they're not as important as us. But they had a couple of drivers with them, and there was this really tall guy, and he said, "Oh, hi, my name's Callum. And nice to meet you." And we hung around for a few hours just having a chat. I didn't think anything of it. And then when he left, the guy that was working with him, he said, "Oh, he used to be a footballer." And I was like,
Crouch.
"Yeah, well, no. His name's Callum. Callum.
Oh,
can you guess?" Callum
Davenport. Yeah.
And I had no idea. I just spent half the afternoon with him, just talking and eating. And if I'd have known he was that Callum Davenport, I would have grilled him on a good few stories. But I don't know how much I can say, but I know that his professional career was ended, I think by either his sister or his girlfriend's.
Stabbed him in the leg.
Oh no!
Yeah, there you go. I think it was his knee, wasn't it? And the thing is, he was one of the nicest guys I'd ever met. He was just such a nice, quiet, unassuming guy.
He was good.
Now he's he was very good. Yeah, and that's why I so kicking myself after that. I was like, oh my God, man, I'm a Norwich fan. I didn't even notice. But he was a lovely guy, and as far as I know, he's still doing tour trucks. This was last year, so I'm guessing he still is.
Amazing. Nice. Morgan.
Yeah. So obviously Carrow Road is you've had the likes of Take That, Play There,
John.
and New Killers, numerous others. So your dream festival lineup at Carrow Road, go.
My dream festival lineup, right? Let's. I'm going to go with some. I'm going to go with like the bands I'd have to fill it out before the main event. I know it's the easy option. I'm going to double down a bit. I'm going to say like Toy Wilcox to warm everyone up because she's fantastic and she's fun. I'd have Imagine Dragons there. They're not headlining, but they're a big act and they're very, very good. I don't want to say Madonna because she's not anymore. Who else? Right. So what? So we got to cater for all age ranges, haven't we? So Travis.
It's your dream lineup.
Oh, my dream lineup. Okay, Tory Wilcox the warm up. Imagine Dragons to be the big afternoon show.
Yeah.
And I know Jez will like this, but I'm gonna, and it's probably the wrong way around. I'm gonna have Richard Ashcroft with or without the verve to headline, because that guy is a phenomenal talent. I'm a big Ashcroft fan. Mm.
Yeah, he's superb.
What famous musicians from Norwich are there?
Well, I mean, obviously we've already talked about the Darkness. I know they weren't from Norwich.
My God, I'd have Justin Hawkins on there for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, and Eric Manali, I'd get them two together because I know they like each other, and their voices are both very, very strong together.
I know he's not. I suppose he is a musician, but he's more of a DJ. Sagala is from Norwich.
Sagala.
If you remember Sagala, I say remember him. He's only been out the last few years. But JG, what's his actual name? Joshua, someone. But he's from Norwich. He's a Norwich fan.
Let's get him on.
Well, I've tried.
I got a. Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say he worked with. Who is the chap that did quite well in Eurovision with the long blonde hair? Sam Ryder.
Bailey, isn't it?
Sam. Yeah. Anyway, that guy, he did a song with him, which was out last year. But I don't think it's probably either of yours two's music taste, to be fair. But
you don't know, Jez. We've barely scratched the surface. There's an art rock indie band. I don't know if they're still going, but they're called Let's Eat Grandma, and they're really good. But I mean, that's a while ago now. But they're from Norwich.
I'd
have them in the festival lineup just to have the name on the posters.
Fantastic name, isn't it?
There is a local band called the Floating Greyhounds, which I know the lead singer's a big Norwich fan because I've seen him at the games and in some of the pubs.
Okay.
But I did actually try and get him to come down to my wedding actually and be our band for the wedding, but it's obviously, it's a bit of a hike for them, 2 hours. Well, but no, it sounds like a good lineup that. So I guess leading on to question 9, what band would you get to cover on the Ball City and why?
Right, we've been getting on so well, and I think this is going to be the moment that we fall apart. But I can't stand our song.
Oh no!
Whoa!
Can't stand it, man. Can't stand it.
That's a very controversial opinion because I love it. Yeah.
It's when I meet people wherever I am all over the world. I remember the one distinct conversation with someone. He said, "Oh, do you like football?" Yeah, I'm a Norwich fan. You went, "Oh my God, yeah, they're the team with the worst song in the world, aren't they?" And I just slow nodded. I went, "It's not very good." And I know it's tradition, and I appreciate that. I just don't like it.
No, it's personal preference, isn't it? And I don't think you should be chased out of the city with pitchforks. I
know what band I want to cover it, because this might save it. Give me Slipknot. Get Slipknot on it. See what they can do with it, man.
I was going to go with Queen because it's got that sort of Bohemian Rhapsody epic nature about it. Like on the
with Freddie or without.
With Freddie, of course.
Yeah,
on the Ball City, never mind the danger.
No, you're the lead singer now. You're doing it, Morgan.
Don't worry, don't worry, Jody. I've got a sacred cow to kill in the next question, so I'll be with you when we have to get run out of Norwich.
Well, I'm
coming join me in the gallows.
I'm getting some paper and a bit of pen. I'm getting a pen and some paper because I'm preparing myself for the Norwich music quiz that we've got at the end of this podcast today.
Oh, okay.
So, and just before we move on to the next question, Morgan, I just wanted to let you know that the city of Milton Keynes is based on a North American style grid road network. All main roads use the H or V, which indicates whether they run horizontal or vertically.
I knew that already, but I'm glad you've reminded me.
I didn't know that.
One of the first new towns in the UK to do so. As a follow-up factoid.
There you go.
I feel like I want to squeeze my head to death.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, I think it's the last question, which is you, Morgan.
Yeah. So, if you could replace the Sam McGoll music with any other tune, please, for the love of God, what would it
Yeah,
be?
I'm with you. I'm with you. Yeah,
What
I'm
would
with
it
you.
be?
Let's get rid of it. I would.
hate it.
I don't hate it, but I find it odd that it's our music. I guess it's the Brazilian connection and the Brazil World Cup when it really took off. Do you remember? Was it the Brazil World Cup?
Yes, sometime about 100 years ago.
Yeah. So I'm guessing the yellow and green, and that's the tenuous connection because I'm sure it's not because we play like Brazil, play like fucking Bradford at the minute. What would I replace it with?
Yeah.
What about maybe Justin Hawkins? What about? Well, the Vuvuzela thing, Zuzuvelas. What are they called? What are they called, Jez?
Vuvuzelas.
What about that? What about On the Ball City played through them?
Okay.
Oh no, I've got to replace it, haven't I? Let me think about it.
Well, whilst you're thinking about it, I thought about it earlier. So I would choose "Ride of the Valkyries" by David Wagner.
I am in and riding shotgun with you, man. That's a fantastic suggestion. I'm down.
Yeah,
I'm down. Let's go.
I just Sam McGoll music. I just don't. I'm really sorry, and I'm gonna get hung from Norwich Castle Keep. But
hold on, I've just knocked On the Ball City. I think they'd be after me first.
Yeah, well,
besides, we don't really hear the samba music much these days, anyway. Do we?
That's a good point. Hang on, I've got a good question. Actually, does the samba music play when the opposition score?
Well, at least we get to hear it a lot, then, won't we?
Does it what? Sorry.
Does it play when the opposition score? Because
No.
For equality, it should technically, shouldn't it?
No, but Burnley have started using it recently.
Oh, they can keep it then.
Well, how often do you hear it in a 1-0? They only ever win 1-0, don't they?
Burnley? True. Yeah.
Enough.
Yeah. So right, favourite player. I hope you don't mind me asking some questions. Who is right? So this is the question I've got now. If you were a Norwich City player, maybe not the technical ability, but more the characteristic of the player, who would you be? I'll give you an example. I would be Onel Hernandez. Not fantastically technically gifted, but I work hard as hell and I get on with people. He would be, I think, my spirit player. Who would yours be, Jez, and who would yours be, Morgan?
So
I should have prepped you for this.
That's fine, not a problem. So just repeat the question because I didn't quite hear it.
So which Norwich City player would you be? Same sort of characteristics. Say, like, if you were a big, brash, strong, forward leader man, you might be Malky Mackay or something like that. So I'm a hard worker, so I would definitely be Onel Hernandez. I get on with people. I'm a people person, but I'm not the most technically brilliant person.
I've got mine already. And it's Dean Ashton.
One of the greatest Norwich strikers of all time. Jez, I'm like Dean Ashton.
I'll tell you why.
Of course you are, mate.
I'll tell you why. I'm obviously nowhere near his prolific footballer ability. But
you might be now.
Potentially, yeah. But no, I think in terms of sort of playing style and stature and position, that's just me all over. Like I used to, blow my own trumpet. I think people used to say about my footballing ability was I wasn't a great goal scorer, but I was a scorer of great goals.
Nice.
And that's the that's the I can just hear you laughing, put me off.
That's going to be
when we signed Dean Ashton, that was maybe. When the rumor that we were signing was coming up, he's the one player that I've been excited for like no other Norwich player. Was when we signed Dean Ashton, man. That was a highlight for me as a Norwich fan.
I've been excited about other players, but then they've gone on to flop, like Ricky Van Wolfswinkel. I was really excited about that sign.
Yeah, me too.
I was going to do really well, and then it just never worked.
Wasn't he? Did somebody say he was sick? Didn't he have?
Yeah, he
become really ill.
Brain tumor.
Is he all right now?
Yeah,
There
he's recovered.
He's playing again, isn't he?
Playing, scoring. Yeah.
Good. Good, man. He got a lot. He got a lot of heat, and I really wanted him to do. I never want a player to do badly. I always probably give him more of a chance than they should have as well.
And do you remember Greg Rutherford, who was the winning long jump? He was, the 2012 Olympics in London, and we had that day where we had, who was the runner? The one that won the decathlon. I can't remember her name. Jessica Ennis-Hill.
Yeah. Yes.
And you had Greg Rutherford, who was the ginger lad. He was the one that won the triple jump.
Are you going to tell me? Are you going to tell us he's from Milton Keynes? Is this where you're going with this?
Yeah, you got it. He was from Milton Keynes. Yeah. And actually, as you drive it, this isn't actually here on the facts I've got, but as you drive into Milton Keynes, there's a statue on one of the roundabouts, and it's of him just doing his dive into the sandpit.
Nice, man. That's cool.
Yeah, that was good. I mean, for football player wise, for me, who's the most unhinged player we've had?
Wasn't there a Danish? Oh no, I'm thinking of Marco Boogers. That was West Ham, wasn't it? He was.
What about the South African guy, Matty Patterson, that then went on to do witchcraft and stuff?
I don't think I'd do that.
What? Well, you just said unhinged. How unhinged do you want?
Sort of like, I guess, like a 50-50 split of fizzy water and normal water.
Todd. I was going to say Todd Cantwell, and I regret that because I like Todd Cantwell. I like him. I like Todd Cantwell.
I do too, but we're not going there. I like him. I'm only joking. I'd probably say someone who was okay but barely memorable. So James Husband. I'd be James Husband.
Wow, James Husband. Right. I think it's, unless you've got any more questions for us, Jody, then do you have any more questions for us?
No, I've still got more stories, but I can tell them another day if you ever want me back on.
We'll have you back.
I think you've got to come back because this has been absolutely superb. And actually, to be honest with you, okay, Rob.
I was going to say I was under it because I listened to the Kit Guys podcast this morning, and you ended it with, "This is one of my favorite pods. This is definitely my favorite pods." And I was like, now I'm under. I shouldn't have listened to it because now I'm under pressure. Now I've got to come in big.
But speaking of pressure, it's that time of the week.
Well, there we go.
Hit me.
Right, let me hang on. Let me psych myself up. I'm going to leave the room, and I'm going to come back in. Okay? Can you hear me leaving the room?
Yep.
Cool. So I'm out of the room.
I can't hear him, Jez. Is he out of the room?
I think he's out of the room.
Random question of the week.
Sung like Freddie Mercury.
Yes. So if any of you avid listeners, and Jody, I'm counting you in this as well, paid attention to our most recent Beyond the South Stand episode with the Oxford fan, they would be aware that I asked Ben Rimmer, the Oxford fan, what album title would he come up with to depict his season so far. So, for example, mine was the Rutting Gump.
Yep, I remember that. Yep.
So, my question to you is, what would your album title be in depiction of our seasons thus far?
All right. So, is there a song that's got something to do with up and down?
There's certainly one that's down, isn't there? There's one that's down.
Well, that's from Bugsy Malone, wasn't it?
That's the Quo.
Deeper and Down. That was Deeper and Down. But the Monkees also did a song called Going Down, which we could probably play at the start of every Premiership season. See now. So what about? So this takes me. Sorry, we want to keep going.
Well, no, I mean, I'm going to go with I'm going the Rutting Gump 2, the Requiem.
So when you go on, like, you see the Facebook forums and stuff, and you see the fans saying that I don't want to go up because I don't want to come straight back down, that blows my mind. I'm like, why don't you want? All right, you might get hammered by Liverpool, Man City, and stuff. Not Man City, we can beat them, but why would you not want to be playing them? And also, from a financial point of view, the Premier League saved our club and Delia, of course. But why would you not want to go out and get, I don't know how it is, 100 million and the parachute payments for a couple of years. I prayed at one time that we'd be like West Brom, a yo-yo club. I'd be like, if we're going to keep going down, great, as long as we keep coming back up.
Yeah.
And because that financial support will save our club, and well, it has saved our club, and we can build on it. Well, what are we going to do about Ipswich next season?
Play them.
Beat 'em.
Yeah, we're going to play them. Hopefully, we're going to beat them. But they've got quite a squad they're assembling, haven't they?
They have.
If they keep them.
Don't
That's
worry, East Anglia is always yellow and green, never blue and
Always,
white.
always.
Yeah.
Jez, did you have an album title?
Yeah, let me have a little think about that. So I think in honour of Jode's hatred of On the Ball City, perhaps Urban Hymn.
What?
Oh, all right, okay, yeah, and that ties in nicely. All right, you brought it back round. I like it.
That's
Yeah.
what we call in the industry back humour.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look, this is the first time we've ever done this. We did it. We actually, funny enough, we did a quiz with Adrian Coote at the start of the week. Which because he was former Countdown contestant, but I've devised a quiz. As you're both into your music, it's a Norwich City themed music quiz.
Okay.
So
Let's go.
I'm actually going to play the theme tune on my piano.
Did you come up with this yourself?
Wait a minute. You can play the piano.
Yes.
I'm impressed, man. The piano's that's a hardcore instrument to play. I'm impressed. Oh, but let me hear you first before I get too impressed.
Yeah. Give it a breath.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Let me turn up a little bit more. There you go. Ready?
Yeah.
Yep.
This is the theme tune to. Hang on. This is the theme tune to Beyond the Barclay Beats, the ultimate Norwich City music quiz. Anyway, that's it. You get the idea.
Is that sorry? Did you just get Eddie, your son, to do that?
No, that's me trying to do about three or four things at once.
It kind of reminded me of the harrowing music that John Carpenter puts through his 1980s films.
Oh, yeah. I like that. Oh, you leave John Carpenter alone. I love
John Carpenter.
It reminded me of an old timey Western piano player that's probably been tipped too much scotch for his playing, and now he's just pissed and playing.
Welcome to Beyond the Barclay Beats, the quiz that's more yellow than Todd Campbell's hair during his Norwich days. I'm your host, Jez, and joining me are our two contestants, Morgan and Jody, ready to prove they know their Norwich City and their music. I'm adopting the Jeremy Clarkson Who Wants to Be a Millionaire sort of vibe.
It's good.
The rules are
Jeremy
simple.
Clarkson. Oh, sorry.
Yes. No, you're right. You were just about to ask, does he host Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And yes, he does.
Yeah. I did not know that. The
rules are simple. I ask the questions and you answer them. If you get them wrong, I'll roast you harder than Delia's Sunday dinner.
This is a family podcast, Jez.
Let's get stuck in. Right. So, gents, what we're going to do, we've got 10 questions. And once I've read the question out and the answers, I want you both to give whether you think it's A, B, C, or D. There's no phone a friend. There's no ask the audience. And there's no 50-50. Okay?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll note down the scores. If there's a tie, the tiebreaker question will be played on my piano, and you have to guess what the tune is.
There's no hope of that, is there?
No. Anyway, question 1. Let's start with an easy one. Which famous song by Coldplay shares its name with the colour of Norwich City?
Yellow.
No, hang on. I've got a. A, green. B, blue. C, yellow. Or D, gold.
Do we? Is it a quick fire or is it just?
So as I explained in the rules.
Okay.
A, B, C, or D. And once I've read out the options, I come to Well, I'm going to go to Jody first as he's the guest, and then I'll come to you, Morgan, with your answers. So, do you think it's A, B, C, or D, Jody?
With C, Yellow.
Yes.
So when Coldplay play the song Yellow, and I've seen them play it all over Europe, the wristbands I'm talking about, they all turn yellow, and the stadium looks beautiful, man. It is yellow as sea.
And what do you think it is, Morgan?
I'm probably. I didn't know this. I'm going to go with C, funnily enough.
Right, you're both correct. The answer is yellow,
Yay!
which coincidentally is also the colour of the referee's card every time a Norwich player so much as breathes near an opponent.
You practiced this all afternoon prior to this, haven't you?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
I think he's got it down. He's doing well.
Thank you. I'm angling for, like, if there is any sort of Norwich City themed sort of quiz shows that come up. I'm angling.
I think you're probably likely to get in a pub quiz, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Question 2. Delia Smith once literally called Norwich City fans out with her infamous "Let's be Avenue" speech. But which of these songs actually contains the lyrics "Where Are You"? And the options here are A, Wonderwall by Oasis, B, Are You Gonna Be My Girl by Jet, C, Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes, or D, All the Small Things by Blink 182. And I'm going to, no Googling, I can hear the typing in the background.
No, I'm playing with my pen. I know the answer. Do you, Morgan?
No.
I'm going to come to you first, Jody.
Would you like me to sing it badly?
No, because then it will give Morgan every single.
Okay. It's you sure it's D?
Okay. And what do you think it is, Morgan?
I put Blink 182, so D.
And I'd like you to sing it now, please, Jody.
Where are you? Because I'm so lonely.
Sorry.
Sorry, that's it, because I'm so sorry.
Guys,
I cannot eat. I cannot sleep tonight.
I'm actually going to have to deduct points from Jeremy on this.
It's not All the Small Things, is it?
It's not Blink 182. No, it's not. That's what confused me.
But it is Blink 182. But it is not. It's
it is?
Where Are You? Is the song called? It's called Where Are You?
Hang on, I'm now looking at my
frantically looking at my no Googling. You said no Googling.
Right. But then this is for the purpose of the quiz. All the Small Things lyrics. So
no, because it's on the Blink 182's second album after that. I know because I've got it.
Oh God! All right, well there we go. You both get a point anyway. So, question 3.
Yes.
Which legendary Norwich City striker shares a surname with a band famous for the song Mr. Brightside? A, Teemu Pukki, B, Grant Holt, C, Dean Ashton, or D, Chris Killen?
So what is the question again?
Sorry, I've got to, just before we go on to the question 3, the little, I've got like a little bit that I say at the end. All the Small Things, a fitting song for Norwich's transfer budget most seasons. Right. Anyway, so the question 3, as if Jeremy Clarkson would do this on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Which legendary Norwich City striker shares a surname with a band famous for the song Mr. Brightside? And the options are Teemu Pukki, Grant Holt, Dean Ashton, or Chris Killen.
I have to wonder to myself where I spend my time these days. What I do.
Do you want me to step in again?
Please.
It's A, the Pookies. I mean D, the Killers.
And Morgan?
I put D.
It's D, Chris Killen. Okay, he didn't exactly set Crower Road alight, but let's be honest, Pukki Fire doesn't quite have the same ring to it as Mr. Brightside.
I want Pookie back, man. He can still play, can't he?
I think at this point I'm going to interject and say you're both doing quite well at this point. It's both 3 out of 3, so well done. Question 4: which iconic Elton John song features in the word canary in its lyrics? A, Rocket Man, B, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, C, Candle in the Wind, or D, Benny and the Jets? I think I'll come to you first this time, Morgan.
Oh God, I don't know. I've gone with B.
Carry me,
Okay.
Morgan. I'm not 100% sure. Now, if we look at it, what was B?
Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
Now that's way too obvious, isn't it? It's way too obvious. I think Candle. I'm gonna pull myself apart from Jez. I'm gonna go Candle in the Wind. I'm gonna go D.
Okay. So it's the first time that you've gone for different answers.
Mm,
And I have
yeah.
to say it's paid off for Morgan because the answer is Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
Well played. Well played.
And though in Norwich, we'd never say goodbye to Yellow unless it's those cursed away kits that we usually get saddled with. Sorry. I've got to read the script.
I like the away kits.
Yeah. Anyway, question 5. Which of these music stars is actually from Norfolk and once played at Carrow Road? And the answer, whatever
The answer.
the options are A. Ed Sheeran, B. Ollie Murs,
Wash
C.
your mouth
Sam Fender, or D. Myelin Class.
out. Oh, I. Go on, Morgan. You answer it first.
It's D.
Yeah, it is. I had such a crush on her, man. I love Miley.
Yeah.
So you're both going with D, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, you're both right. Well done. The answer is D. Myelin Class. Born in Galston, a true Norfolk native. If only she played defensive midfield, we might have had a chance in the Premier League. Question 6.
I just got that played. Yeah.
There you go. Which legendary musician released the album Harvest, featuring a famous song titled Heart of Gold? A. Neil Diamond, B. Neil Young, C. Bob Dylan, or D. David Bowie? Or Bowie, however you want to say it.
Wow, I don't know that one. I'm gonna go. Was it Neil Young for A? Was it?
It was Neil Diamond was A, or B was Neil Young.
I'm gonna go Neil Young, but I'm not even convinced of that.
Morgan?
You should be convinced because it's the right answer.
Is it?
Yeah.
Nice.
And the answer
Yay.
is B. Neil Young.
Hey.
Just like Norwich's recruitment strategy, this quiz is all about young talent.
You really are angling for a job at Carrow Road, aren't you, eh?
If you two don't tell me that this is your favourite podcast ever at the end of it, I have not done my job.
Which classic band had a hit song called Canary in the Coal Mine? And the answers are A, the Rolling Stones, the Police, B, C, Fleetwood Mac, or D, the Clash.
I'm going to go with D, the Clash.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Clash, but I don't know that, but I think it is the Clash.
Okay. Unfortunately, you're both wrong. The answer is B, the Police. And much like Canary in the Coal Mine, Norwich fans can always sense danger way before it actually arrives.
Yeah, it's called a kickoff.
Okay. Question. You'd be pleased to know we come to the end of this. Question 8. Which famous rapper wore an all-yellow suit in the music video for Happy? A, Drake, B, Snoop Dogg, C, Pharrell Williams, or D, Eminem? Eminem. Easy for me to say. Morgan?
C, Farrell.
Yep, C, Pharrell. Although Snoop Dogg did wear a Norwich shirt when he played there.
Yeah, he played in the Norfolk Showground. Yeah, he did.
Okay, so it is C, Pharrell Williams. If only Norwich City could be that happy all season long.
He'd probably be on 50 milligrams of Prozac.
This is some top tier entertainment, isn't it? Top tier.
Yeah. So question 9. Which one of these football-related songs actually features the word yellow in its lyrics? A, Free Lions, Badil and Skinner. B, World in Motion, New Order. C, We Are the Champions, Queen. Or D, You'll Never Walk Alone by Jerry and the Pacemakers.
What do you think, Morgan? I'm not sure.
Not allowed to confer.
Give me the list again. Give me the list again, please.
So it's A, Free Lions, Badil and Skinner. Oh, you know who it's by. I'm not going to tell you. So B, World in Motion. C, We Are the Champions. And D, You'll Never Walk Alone.
I think of World in Motion, but I know the lyrics off by heart. I just can't think of Yellow in there. World in Motion, but I'm not convinced again.
Okay.
I'm not very convinced of most of my answers.
I've gone for D.
Okay. This is very, very exciting for me because Jody, you're right.
Ooh.
You're wrong, which actually brings you level going into the last question. So the answer is B, World in Motion, and the lyric in that song, "There's only one way to beat them, get around the back," is also Daniel Farke's entire tactical philosophy.
Hey. Wow.
Okay. Question
I think
10.
I preferred the Milton Keynes facts.
Yeah. I want them back.
Question 10. Which player of recent years released a single called No Tomorrow? And the options are A, Sam Byram, B, Onel Hernandez, D, Josip Drmic, or D, Denis Saveni. And I'll let you go first.
I'd like you to say C and D again, just for my pure entertainment, please.
Okay, so C, Josip Drmic, or D, Denis Saveni.
God. Onel Hernandez.
Okay. Well, I know I've beaten you because it's Josip Drmic.
Is it? I did not know that.
The answer is C. We hope there is a tomorrow and look forward to a positive season next time out. Our winner today is Morgan. 1 out of 10.
I'd like a steward's inquiry on this one. I'm not sure, man.
I think, to be honest with you, you could be very pleased with your 8 out of 10, Jody, and thank you very much for taking part in the show. And that's the end of Beyond the Barclay Beats. Morgan and Jody, you both put in a performance worthy of a mid-table championship finish. Congratulations. You are officially the biggest Norwich City music nerd, Morgan. Thanks for playing. And remember, whatever division we're playing in next season, always look on the bright side of life. Yes.
I'm just glad that we didn't have to have that tie-breaking question with him just smashing the keyboards randomly with his fingers.
Shall I do it anyway?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be guess that tune.
Shall I do it anyway?
Go on then.
Do it.
Okay. First person to say it.
It's Coldplay, isn't it?
It's Coldplay, yeah. It's got to be Yellow, isn't it?
No,
it's not. Nobody said it was
easy. I can't think of the name of the song, and I only heard it about 100 times last year.
Well, the song's called The Scientist, gentlemen. So.
Oh yeah.
I think
pretend like you knew it.
I think that concludes our business, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think I can get my life back.
with your extra knowledge of Milton Keynes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An addition to my knowledge.
I think it's been. I mean, I say this to everyone, but genuinely, it's been superb, Jody. It's been a real pleasure to get to know you, and we will definitely get you back on. And
I'd love to.
You know, hear some more of your stories, and particularly if you are travelling in a far-flung region of Europe or the world, it'd be great to chat to you and see where you're at. You know,
I'll tell you my Ewan Roberts story next time.
Yeah, save it for next time.
Definitely.
Yeah, we'll do, man.
I mean, just before I let you go, I just wanted to let you know that Snow Zone in the Escape Milton Keynes boasts 220-foot high real snow slopes, and they top it up with fresh snow every day.
Really?
Yeah, I've actually, funny enough, that's where I used to work in Milton Keynes, not the Snow Zone, but there was a trampoline park underneath, and my office was directly underneath the ski slope. So in the evening, the first time I ever worked there, I just heard this massive rumble, and the office shook, and I'm like, "What was that?" And then I asked my colleague the next day. So I said, "What's that sort of rumbling?" And they said, "Well, that's the plough." So they've got like a snow plough that goes down the ski slope.
Right.
And it caused a massive disturbance in the office.
I can sleep well tonight now, knowing that.
There you go. See.
All right, can I finish on one question?
Of course.
Other than this exact specific podcast with me, what has been your favourite one? My favourite was the Mick Dennis one.
Oh, that's controversial, isn't it?
You think? I thought he had some fantastic stories.
I'll let Morgan go first.
On a serious note, Drew Broughton, because it made me reflect on some of the stuff that I have got to address, and it was a real eye opener. And I still bring it up a lot on a lot of episodes, but I think it was just a really candid take and really made me have a lot of introspection. So for me, it'd be Drew's.
So okay. So you said, have I got any feedback on the podcast, Jez? And all seriousness, it's slightly changed somebody's life. Just having that chat with Drew Brown is improved Morgan somehow. He's taken that on board. So there you go.
And I hope some other, if it's improved one more person's. I'm not discounting Morgan, but if it's someone's listened to that and thought about stuff in their life and it's made a difference to them, that's the object of the podcast achieved for me, really. My one would be two. I've got two, so I don't want to make him blush, but I really enjoyed the first one with Morgan because I was nervous, really. I'd never done anything like that before, and I just think having him on, he kind of put me at ease quite quickly. I think that was a really insightful one as well. And I think the second one, it's not a Norwich thing when it's one of the Beyond the South ones was the Tommy Boyd one we did a couple of weeks ago.
I'm looking forward to that. And seeing what else you've got coming up in the future. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, we've got we did a link up, or I say link up, that sounds a bit sort of
crossover.
Yeah, sort of with Andy Cook, who's he's the Norwich City ladies or women's team manager. And that was very insightful. And we also spoke to Alex, who works at the club as well. So there's a few things, whether these will be released, prior to your one coming out, so that people will know and have probably listened to them already. But they were really great, and it's really good speaking to people that everyone's connected to the club, let's be honest, but work for the club, and that's part of their sort of working life is to bring us joy, success, everything else however you want to call it.
For sure.
But yeah, so that would be my very long-winded, antiquated answer on that one. What about you,
Morgan? Get those stickers made up. I will put them everywhere, all over Europe. I mean it. I will. I'll put them all everywhere.
And what about yourself for the best episode?
Other than this one, the Mick Dennis one, I really enjoyed his.
Sorry, you did say.
It was really, and especially his Duncan Forbes tribute and him getting up to read and stuff. That's cool, man. I like that.
I don't know if I mentioned it on the podcast, but she won't hear it because she never listens. So I'm going to say it anyway. My wife, Fiona, was stop me if I've told this story already, please, Morgan, on the pod. But she loves football mascots. And I used to work for Stevenage Football Club a few years ago. And the guy that was Borough Bear, who's Stevenage's mascot, went away on holiday. And the head of community that was looking after that process knew that Fiona liked football mascots. I said, would Fiona like to be a football mascot? Would she like to be Borough Bear? And
wow.
There is a link to this story, by the way, so stick with it. I took Mick Dennis to go and watch the Stevenage game. And it was that game where Fiona was Borough Bear. So as me and him were just sitting there in the stand, this sort of bear came over with a Stevenage shirt on and gave him a little cuddle, and then went to go and give Mick a cuddle. And I hadn't told Mick at that point that it was Fiona. And then I sort of said, Mick, I'd like you to meet my wife. This is Fiona. Sort of stood next to this massive white bear. He must have thought, who's this guy? But yeah, so
that's cool, man. That's cool.
He's a really nice guy, and he I've met him on 2 or 3 occasions, and someone I look up to and respect for his career.
Yeah.
Look,
me too, man. I like it.
Thank you so much once again. If for everyone listening at home, you can follow us on all of our social channels, which is Facebook, Instagram, and X, and you can now watch and listen to the show on YouTube. Look forward to speaking to everyone soon. I've been Jez Davies or Jeremy Clarkson.
I've been Anne Widdecombe.
James Husband. You've been James Husband.
Go on.
Your sign off, Jody, please.
And I've been Jody the Roady. Let's see where I can get them stickers.
Thanks,
Look forward to speaking to everyone soon. Thank you. Brilliant. That was super.
Nice one. I
Really
really enjoyed that, guys. Make sure that you cut this end bit off, though.
That's it for this episode of Beyond the Barclay. Thanks so much for listening. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and leave a review if you enjoyed the show. You can also catch all our episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And if you've got any questions, stories, or topics you'd like us to cover, get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, on the ball, City.